Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to gather a cadre of writers, thinkers, and teachers who are transforming the world, one character at a time. And it all starts with one thing, a deep understanding of human motivation, why people do what they do, and the forces that drive them. But I have been on a tangent talking about the Zettelkasten, and tonight's question is no exception. The question comes from Joseph, and he wants to know, he recalled that some time ago I mentioned some unusual uses for my yellow legal pad, where it actually sometimes functioned like a jumbo bib card, and he wanted to know if I would explain and clarify how that works. So without further ado, I will shift over to my down-facing camera so I can show you how that works for me. Okay, what I'm going to cover in this video is two of the most common types of bib cards and the unusual circumstance when I sometimes actually even use a yellow legal pad as though it were a bib card. So let me, without further ado, explain. The most common type of bib card in my world is a bib card that's about a book. This is the book Show and Tell, How Everybody Can Make Extraordinary Presentations by Dan Rahm. As I read that book, I took a number of notes. As is my practice, I tend to be a little bit verbose with my notes. And what I want you to be able to see with these is that besides the page number, I have this red line, and then there is a card number. And what that does for me is that tells me that this note was turned into a main card, and this is where the main card is. So the usual thing for bib cards, and I will usually have multiple bib cards for a given book. This one has 6 bib cards, and it just contains note after note throughout the whole book. This is a typical source material bib card. The other type of bib card that I generally have is this one. This one was on, of all interesting things, a talk about the types of bib cards. A little bit circular here, but it's a talk that I gave to the TSSL implementation group on June 12th of 2023. And I hadn't yet settled on the convention of having it be my initials underscore. So this should really be r.ks_BCT, but I didn't have that rule of thumb yet at the time. Now, what this card tells me is where my writing is for the presentation that I was going to give. Now, these are all references to my yellow legal pads. This is yellow legal pad 9, page 23C. To give you an idea of where we are right now, this particular one right here is D25, and it's well past halfway used now. So where I've gathered my thoughts for the talk, I wrote them out on a yellow legal pad, and this card collects them so that I can have access to them in the future if I ever want to look up what I did. And it also tells me the date it was recorded, and I can possibly get the recording if I need it. Now, there's another type of reference that sometimes gets used on a yellow legal pad. Now, I should make it very clear that this is not common. The common, normal way for things to happen here is for it to be a book with notes on the book, or an article or a presentation that I'm creating with notes into a journal, a yellow legal pad journal, of where the writing is. However, I sometimes tend to get a bit long-winded in my commentary. Now, this was a card that had a fairly brief subject matter, and I went on for 5 cards with my commentary. What I found that I didn't have any hesitation to do it in the past. And one of the things that I do by cutting off the corner, it's real easy to get all of these cards together. And I thought I had the perfect solution. Well, the challenge is that I don't really very often make use of all 5 of these cards. If I'm looking for something, having to go through 5 cards is a bit overkill. And I can usually just use my tagline and the material on the front card. So what I started doing is when I catch myself getting ready to reach for one of those second cards, and it's all just my commentary, it's not that the material extended over to 2 cards, then I consider getting out my Zettelkasten. I put a star right here to indicate that there's material on the back, and on the back I would indicate where in the Zettelkasten that material was, just like I do if I'm writing an essay. And the interesting thing about this is they're fairly rare, but to me they're very valuable because oftentimes those situations where I get an idea and I run with it will very often be an idea for an article or a section in a newsletter, or a future podcast. And I just have it almost all done for me just because I let myself get carried away, and I didn't stop writing until the flow stopped. So I hope that answered your question, Joseph. And if not, please leave me another question and I will take another stab at it. And thank you all for your comments and your questions. You guys keep me motivated. And as long as you are making progress with your Zettelkasten, and I'm hearing words from you that you are making progress and that my videos help you make progress, well, that's all the encouragement I need to continue. So let me know if they continue to be useful to you. Thank you. Good night.